Thank you. All right, welcome back, everyone. We have just finished doing some final edits to our budget memo for BAA for appropriations. We have discussed these items throughout the course of the week and last week. So if members can please go and refresh their page today, the document is posted under my name. And so we're just gonna take a glance at this, more than a glance, but look over it for a moment. And please let us know if any of the members in the room have questions on this. And if not, we'll just do a straw poll, thumbs up, thumbs down for this to go over to appropriations for me to present in the next 14 minutes.
Can we give 2 thumbs up?
If you feel like it, but that's only one person, one vote. See what I did there?
Yeah, I got you.
Rep. Byron.
Yes.
Sorry, Chair Byron, would you like for me to just quickly explain
Please do.
the little parts of the memo? So the memo is it's to explain maybe to the newer people, there's the Budget Adjustment Act, which we do halfway through the fiscal year every year. We've heard these requests already over the last few days. The Vermont State Recovery Office, the Department of Public Safety was just in here making a request for an adjustment to their budget. And we heard from the Department of Liquor and Lottery Commissioner yesterday with those 2 requests. And basically our job right now is to discuss the requests that they've made to adjust. In all of these cases, they are not giving money back. They are asking for more money for various reasons, for various items that we heard them testify about. It's been summarized in this document, and we are going to discuss and then recommend to the Appropriations Committee if we think they should go ahead and appropriate this money.
That was a great summary of what we're doing right now.
Thank you.
Representative Pisnell.
State employee medical benefit, am I reading this wrong? Is there a typo in there?
Apropos.
No,
Question.
Yes, there is a typo.
no, it says apropos yesterday, we.
No.
should not-
Appropriate.
It's supposed to be appropriations. It was shorthand.
Okay, but then after the next sentence, we concur with,
And that's why we're doing
or
this.
something?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
would concur with.
There's a couple typos.
Or
there.
we,
Yeah.
we concur that we should not agree with the trans, I don't know, something.
I believe it's, well, Representative Hooper, would you like
With
to?
regards to the government, yep, Representative Hooper.
Read it as it's presented there. I had to bring it up.
Okay.
I can look here.
Lucy has her hand.
We should.
Thank you.
Concur. Yeah, we should concur.
We should concur.
Okay, we should concur with the transfer. Okay.
That's what the subject matter expert is saying here.
You're Zeppelining again, member. Thank you.
We should concur, not we should, not we, gotcha, okay,
We should
okay.
concur.
Representative Boyden.
I'm not sure if it's needed, but I just want to double check. I'm not seeing the cannabis regulation fund. We discussed that with Chris Roop, to increase the transfer to the general fund by 3.4 million.
Yeah, I discussed that with Pepper and he said that didn't need to be a memo.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up
Yeah.
because I asked that yesterday, late
No
yesterday as well.
I think we also need a dollar sign before the 18.5.
Okay.
And so, okay, so editing just the words on a few spots here, and then the State Recovery Office conversation. We communicated that with Doug Farnham and his team. Was that documented posted yesterday?
I don't remember, but for documents that we just got written testimony for and did not actually have people in the witness seats telling us what they were asking for, it's important that the committee understands what those requests were. So the first one being a conversation in appropriations yesterday that Rep. Hooper attended. And then the Vermont State Recovery Office is was a written document that came to us. And
I gotcha.
that will be posted in a couple of minutes. And then the DPS, we just heard from them personally. And the DLL, we heard from them
Twice,
last week.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, so if you feel like you missed some testimony, it could be because it was written or it was in another committee room, and we want to make sure that everybody understands where the requests are coming from that we're concurring with.
Here you go, Autumn. It's coming in.
That's wrong.
Question over there?
There's nothing from the vets home, but we haven't heard. from
That's
them.
correct. We have not heard from them, and we asked our budget liaison about that, and at the point in time, it's not necessary to be included in the memo because they're
Cause I sent that email to them
Right.
and got nothing back. So
right. So they are in direct communication with the vets home.
And Representative Shy, and I discussed this, and BAA in her mind is just it is what it is in this moment in time. But as we move forward with the conversations about the dollars in the big bill, she wants us to have more conversations with them about that.
Okay,
So it's a conversation, just not for this particular piece. I did. Did the attachments end? Yeah.
someone. Training's done too.
Okay,
So that looks like it is now more grammatically digestible.
Yes.
yes, I fixed the file.
Okay, so
Anyone
enjoy
would-
that, refresh that.
Yeah.
So did you say refresh and it's pretty good? No.
No, not quite yet. All right, Autumn.
Well, I will need to retally to copy what she had.
Correct.
Okay,
But
you can get.
as we do these, we're just really refining these, like just some edits right now. So if everybody is comfortable with this going over, we'll just conclude the straw poll portion of the conversation.
Has everyone had time to read the memo? Rep Stone, have you had time to read the memo?
You did add a dollar sign in front of the 18.5 million.
I did.
Okay. Those were the only.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing going on in here that's out of the ordinary for budget adjustment was filling that hole in the Department of Liquor and Lotteries. They had a rolling deficit that was kind of unknown. And so their transfer from the enterprise fund to the general fund is just going to be less in order to fill that hole once and for all.
And did I
Yeah.
hear correctly that anything that they got in that would at this point be a surplus, they were gonna pay it back so that it would stay whole? Like if all of a sudden the numbers got higher than what they're projecting to finish out the fiscal year?
No, I mean, I think if there's if they exceed any revenue expectations on either the sports wagering or the DLL line item, we'll roll more into the transfer with the big bill that we're doing, not that's my understanding right now in this moment of time, they have X amount of dollars to transfer over. And they are just going to pay down that deficit with that sum. So it's gonna wind up being about 55, maybe 60% of the money that should have gone over is going to go over. That 45 plus minus percentage is gonna erase the deficit that was just discovered.
Okay.
That makes sense, guys? Yeah.
I was just checking it again. I made the other day.
Autumn's speaking.
Updated on the next post, because you go back to Thursday and it's called FY 2025 page from a BA. It's the edit. And I'm gonna delete that.
Thank you, Autumn. All right, there we go.
Funds it on the floor.
BAA, I think they're trying to vote it out tomorrow. That's the goal. Open here. Yeah.
We're just digesting.
Oh, yeah. Does everybody run through? And how do we feel?
Yep.
In favor? That looks like I got a thumbs up from Rep Boyden also. All right, cool. That is an across the board favorable 11-0-0 on our budget memo. Thank you, folks, for that. That was a little bit of last second homework. But we've had a lot on our table. I was actually just at a chairs meeting last night, and let's just say our workload's been a little bit more intense than some of the other committees weeks. So it's been recognized. So
The hours has been more.
Yes,
ours has been more intense than most of the other committees.
which is nothing new.
It is not new. I just wanted all to say that it was recognized in the chairs.
Yeah, I can though.
Too easy.
Maybe.
And so, we have another introduction period coming up here with the Sheriff's Association. And what we're gonna do is Representative Waters Evans and I are going to go next door to talk to appropriations about the budget memo. And Representative Hango is gonna drive the introductions with these folks. And I don't know how long it'll be. I don't anticipate it taking too long.
O'clock, I'm going to healthcare.
Good to know. And with that, Madam Vice Chair, you have the helm.
Thanks. Okay. I just need to refresh my agenda. All right, so gotta get to the right day. Whoever is going first, we have Sheriff Mark Anderson listed first,
He's not here.
and he is not here.
He's on Zoom.
On Zoom, perfect. Okay, We're just getting a quick transition here, folks coming in the door and going out. So it'll be just 1 minute. Thank you.
Get it.
All right. So good morning, Sheriff Anderson. Could you please introduce yourself to us?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Mark Anderson. I'm the Sheriff of Windham County, and I'm also president of the Vermont Sheriff's Association. I do see Sheriff Marcoux also in the room. We generally present as a team, but for reasons beyond my control, I'm in my office today, and he was able to attend. So if you don't mind him joining at the table, I think we generally do this together.
Great. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you.
So if you both just want to, I guess you've introduced yourself, Sheriff Anderson. How about Sheriff Marcoux? Would you tell us who you are?
Yes, morning. My name is Roger Marcoux. I'm the Lamoille County Sheriff and the first Vice Chair of the Vermont Sheriff's Association.
I don't know how you would like to proceed.
May I don't know if it's appropriate. I'd like to introduce, if I could, our new Director of Sheriff's Operations.
Certainly.
Tracy Patnow, who's working under Amy Noonan and Tim Lewis-Dumont out of the central office. And she's going to help us herd everything together. And hopefully you'll be seeing and hearing from her more and more as she gets her feet on the ground.
Well, welcome. Happy to have you here.
So Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so for those of you on the committee that have returned, it's good to see all of you again. For those of you that I have not met in person yet, I look forward to doing so during the session. Vermont Sheriff's Association represents the sheriffs of the state of Vermont. We make up 12 of the 14 sheriffs. 2 have opted not to participate with our association, but generally what we do is provide professional education, training, legal support, and a variety of supports to the Vermont sheriffs. The goal of our organization is to provide the best services that we can to our communities. We're not coming before your committee with really a specific policy agenda this year. There are policies that we are interested in broadly around public safety, around services that sheriffs provide, and efforts that we do to contribute to the safeties of our community, as well as supporting the various departments and agencies of the state of Vermont. For those of you not familiar with sheriff's departments in Vermont, we are a unique blend of government/private business. And so when I say private business, what does that mean? Most of our funding does not come from tax funds. They are generally developed through contracting with people who require law enforcement services. Contracting is not an unusual circumstance in the context that many departments around the country and around the state do enter into contracting services for a variety of needs. You might have seen law enforcement officers at public venues, at concerts, at events like the X Games. Those are generally contracted for. What's unique in Vermont is that the sheriff is generally not supported by any significant tax base. And so we have a blend of support that comes through the general fund. We have a limited amount of support through the county tax, which generally pays for our building, but really no other resource. And then we have all the services that we provide through our deputy sheriffs and civilian staff. And much of that is funded through people saying, we need more services. And the benefit that the sheriff's offices of the state offer is that through the economies of scale, we can deploy services, scale up and scale down as need arises. So places that you'll see our support is through, for the state, is through our state transport deputies. They provide the movement of prisoners from correctional facilities to court for their constitutionally mandated hearings. They also help facilitate interfacility movements from one jail to another. And then they also provide a lot of support for mental health patients who are at extreme extreme ends of a plane where there is no way to transport them while they get either medical care or undergo court hearings related to their medical and or mental health. Ideally, people are transported by the least necessary means, but we find that some people are in such manic states that they do require movement with someone that can prevent them from injuring themselves or others. We also provide support to the Department of Children and Families through a variety of means. Again, that can be providing safe havens for runaways and children in emergency care. That can be movement of children at risk of harm to themselves or others. And then we also support the Department of Corrections. They still house many inmates outside of the state of Vermont. And so people needing to come back to the state of Vermont for whatever reasons, we will provide those services. In addition, through the state transport deputies, we perform extradition. So a person is arrested for a crime that occurred in the state of Vermont, but they flee the state of Vermont. We return them back to the state to be brought before the judiciary. At the local level, you'll find sheriffs enter into contracts with a lot of municipalities to provide policing services. Operating a police department is an incredibly expensive venture. Having no policing is also an incredibly problematic issue, especially as we see increases in homicides, violent crimes, and a variety of property-related and quality of life issues that Vermonters are facing. Sheriff's Association in past years has worked to develop a variety of laws with the legislature around promoting and increasing public safety. One example of that was last year, we worked with policymakers to develop a bill around breaking into vehicles, an issue that has certainly plagued my community, and making it unlawful to enter a person's vehicle without permission. Before last year, that was actually permitted. Someone could get into your front seat of your car without you being there, without you giving permission, and they could do whatever they wanted as long as they didn't damage the car or steal things from your vehicle. Now, while those things did happen, usually when people would enter your car, proving that it happened also created some nuance. So having this new law added is certainly helpful in the context of the safety of our communities and the sanctity of things such as their homes or vehicles. We also, working with this committee, the Sheriff's Association, helped promote professionalism and accountability within sheriff's departments. I'm sure that you have seen news articles over the past couple of years around different issues that have come up. So we have worked with this committee specifically to help improve those things. We worked with this committee as well as the Treasurer's Office to create an equitable bill for retirement so that sheriff's deputies could be on a level playing field with other Vermont law enforcement officers. And there's so much more that I could talk about. I know Roger's in the room and he could also speak to several of these things. So I'll turn the reins over to him and let him speak.
Thank you. I wanted to just address a major component of Act 30 that we are currently working on, and it's the compensation policy for sheriff's salaries. And I picked that out because it's been a controversial issue through the years. And so that policy is written, and it has been before it has to go before the Vermont Criminal Justice Council, the Department of Labor or Human Resources, I'm sorry, and the Auditor's Office, and it's been before the Criminal Justice Council and the Human Resources folks. So, but the idea there is to try to compensate the sheriffs themselves in a way that's fair and equitable with other similarly situated and experienced other state law enforcement officers. In the past, there wasn't a cap on that, and there was a misperception that sheriffs were paying themselves a lot more than was the actual case. So the concept is going to be to cap it at a level of somebody in law enforcement in the state law enforcement system. We'll cap it there. The good thing for the state of Vermont is you won't have to pay for this. It comes out of the contracts. And so we're hoping to get that done, and central office, my understanding is once it's done, central office can approve it with the input from those 3 different organizations. So we are also going to be looking down the road to see if we can provide language in statute that would allow one sheriff to go to another county to serve civil process. Right now, the way the statute reads, the sheriff from each individual county would have to deputize another sheriff to do it. That is really holding up a lot of process in certain counties. And, you know, and it affects the defense bar, it affects a lot of what's going on. So I think those are 2 of the highlights of things that we're going to be working on. We're going to be, you know, certainly trying to help these sheriffs that are struggling. There are some sheriff's departments that struggle to make payroll. So, you know, my 25 years as sheriff, I've found that organizations that are a little bit further along can help organizations that need help. But one thing is clear is it's never been, request for service has never been any greater. And that's not just on the interstate doing traffic control, that's for law enforcement in towns. So, and we work in partnership with our municipalities and the Vermont State Police to make sure that as many Vermonters that feel they need law enforcement protection get it. So I think that's what I have.
Thank you. Rep. Hooper?
Sheriff, when you say one sheriff, do you mean a designated one or any given sheriff who would be deputized to do that?
Right now, a sheriff has, let's say Lamoille County. Keep up with it.
Okay.
Right now, Washington County Sheriff, the county sheriff cannot come into the county to serve certain civil process without being deputized because of the way the statute. This would do away with that and allow people to come in and get the job done, whatever needs to get done. You know, we already go do it.
Right.
We already do it for law enforcement. If a sheriff doesn't have the resources to help out a community, and a sheriff from another county will come in and help.
Madam Chair, may I just make one point of clarification?
Yes.
What Sheriff Marcoux is speaking to is specifically around writs of possession, which the non-formal term is an eviction. And so that is the piece that statute does not currently cover. We have addressed other statutes that deal with other types of civil process, such as what's called a summons and complaint. So we are talking about some very nuanced things, but it is a problem that attorneys have been dealing with in certain counties where evictions are not being performed as ordered by the court, which is incredibly frustrating for a landlord who has gone through 6 months worth of process only to be told the bus has stopped. So that is one of the things that we're working on. We want to ensure that accountability to a sheriff is preserved, but also that the service is being done. So there's some very common sense things that can be done. And there is a bill that's been introduced that I believe it was given to judiciary, but I also think it would be within the jurisdiction of this committee.
Thank you. I was going to ask if you were aware of any legislative language in a bill. So thanks for that. And I'm certain that the chair of the Judiciary Committee will let us have a drive-by of it if necessary, or take possession of it, however they determine that we need to be a part of that. So thank you. Do you have anything else? I see Annie is on the screen as well. Would you like to introduce yourself to the committee? Well, you've seen us before, Annie, but we do have some folks around the room. So if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Great. Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you. I'm Annie Noonan. I'm the Director of Labor Relations and Operations for the Vermont Departments of States Attorneys and Sheriffs. Primarily, I'm on the call in case you have any questions for the department with regard to finances for the sheriffs or organizational issues. So I really don't have a lot to add other than the fact that we're The administrative department overseeing the payment of salary and benefits to the sheriffs. We have 24 state transport deputies. I will put a plug in for the fact that we need additional state transport deputies. We are really struggling to meet the demands of the courts, getting people from the correctional institutions over to their hearings, and we are running all over the state back and forth. So we've requested, we will be requesting 6 to 8 new transport deputy positions. I think that most of the people, if you talk to the judiciary folks, you know, Judge Zone and Terry Corsones will tell you we need those. For the most part, the sheriff's budget is it's 96% of what we pay is just related to salary and benefits. They have a very small operating budget with us, 3.1%. It's primarily to help pay for per diem staffing and mileage for the sheriffs. One thing I will remind everybody is that the sheriffs do the transport work, but they also underwrite the transport work because the transport deputies are using the sheriff's car. They are being uniformed by the sheriffs. They are being trained by the sheriffs. They're being supervised by the sheriff. There's a tremendous amount of underwriting of the program that gets done by the sheriffs themselves. We're very grateful for that. I think the state of Vermont should be grateful for that. But their budget is not particularly large for the 14 sheriffs and the 24 deputies. And Tracy Patnow, who I think is, I can't see the room, but I believe Tracy, our new director of sheriff operations, is here with us today in the room. But for all of those staff, it's a $5.4 million budget. So it's really, you know, they are an efficient organization in the law enforcement realm for the state of Vermont and perform obviously very critical functions. The sheriffs also then, of course, employ their own staff and for all sorts of work that gets done to support the state, nonprofits, municipalities, government, private contractors. They are doing a good job being a partner, an incredibly important partner for all of the organizations that law enforcement works with and for the public. So that's what I've got. Thank you for letting me just weigh in for a couple of minutes. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate that too. Does the committee have any questions about the administration of the sheriff's departments? And while we have people on the call who can answer questions about finances? No. Well, we're a pretty quiet group. We're a little bit diminished because some folks are over in the appropriations room dealing with the Budget Adjustment Act. So I think if we have, VO, Rep. Coffin, no?
I was just looking up the bill you referenced for judiciary.
Okay, so you found the bill.
It's page 21, if you
Thank
want to
you.
see the wording in it.
Thank you for that. So H21 for anybody who is interested, that's the legislative language. Great. So thank you all very much. You know, you're always welcome here and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you for the warm welcome.
Committee, any questions, concerns? I guess seeing nothing, Autumn, we can adjourn until 1 o'clock this afternoon when we will be talking about the contested Bennington 1